Hello everyone, I'm FARMERSIM and welcome back to Pallegney. I do hope you're all doing really well and having a great day. So, we're still in November. I'm trying to make as much use of the time as I can now. I know I did mention a couple of episodes ago that the contemplation was to kind of whiz through winter and pick up in the spring, but I've decided no, I'm going to try and make as much use as I can out of this time because there's still an opportunity to make a little bit of money in the near future, and that is exactly what I'm trying to do now. Now, there's going to be a bit of kind of sorting out, fiddling around on the farm today. Initially, we've got a couple of contracts to do. As you can see in the top right hand corner, I've taken on a bale wrapping contract and a cultivating contract. Now collectively these are going to be paying somewhere around about 23 grand. We've got 15 grand for the cultivating contract, which is I just couldn't say no to, and I think it's about 7,000 for the bale wrapping contract, 7,201 for the bale contract, and 15,816 for the cultivating contract. So that's relatively easy money, let's be honest, and I've got a cultivator and I have got a bale wrapper, so we don't need to borrow any equipment, and we can crack on and earn a bit of money from that, so that makes perfect sense. But one of the other things that I've really, and it's as a result of the release of a mod the other day, and it's one that I feel it has to be on the farm. It's the one series that I've got that suits this particular mod down to the ground, and that is EdoMod's recent release of the Fiat Agri F140, and it is an absolutely gorgeous piece of equipment. And I saw it, I've downloaded it, I've purchased the high definition texture pack from his website, and it has to be on the farm, let's be honest. We've already got one, we've got the Fiat Agri 180 over there in the shed, and it just makes absolute perfect sense to have that on the farm here on Pallegney. So, I've done a bit of, I've been sitting here for the last couple of hours actually, just doing lots of sums and figuring things out, and seeing if I can get a bit more money into the bank account to see us through the winter. And the plan that I've got is initially, obviously, because the new Fiat Agri is a small tractor, and if I purchase it with the spec that I'd like it, it's going to come to £73,025. What it's actually going to do is it's going to give us, it's 10 horsepower more powerful than this class. It doesn't have the capacity to have any kind of front loader equipment on it though, so I'm going to sell this and all the equipment. That's what we've got on the trailer. We're keeping the trailer, of course, but I might actually, because if I get rid of the class, there's no real need to have this trailer in its nice class paintwork either, so I might alter this thing as well and put it back to the nice old original weathered and beaten look that it can come with as well. But we're going to have no use for all of this front loader equipment, the bale handler, the manure fork and the pallet fork as well, and obviously the bale spike on the front, and the front loader, the front weight and the tractor. So collectively, that's going to, all this is going to come to, because I have done my maths first, it's going to come to 93,781 quid, and then if I buy the Fiat Agri on top of that, we're going to make just over £24,000 from the sale of all this equipment. So yeah, that's all good. Now forgive me as well, I've just realised I haven't changed the finances from pounds to euros. I'll do that in a few moments time. But the other thing I'm going to do, as a result of, I'm just going to turn the engine off actually very quickly so I'm not talking over the noise. In the last episode, as I'm sure some of you are aware, we did activate realistic livestock, and we have that now running in the save game. Now, one thing that had actually happened in between episodes, I was doing a little bit of playing around with realistic livestock, and one thing that I did, and I didn't appreciate it was going to do this because it didn't do it for me over on my Iowa series, but I turned realistic livestock off, came back into the game, and all of my cattle had gone. And I was like, what? Oh, okay. Also, well, all of my animals had gone because I'd turned realistic livestock off. I wasn't expecting that. And it was down to there was also down to an unfortunate timing of things, in that I had just recently cleared out all of my save game backups with the mindset of replacing them ASAP. But so I couldn't revert it to something, so I was a bit gutted about that. So essentially I've had to buy in again all of my cattle. I haven't profited from anything, of course. I just replaced them essentially and made sure that the money was exactly as it should be. But what that did enable me to do was, as some of you are aware, in the last episode, I purchased a bull, and it wasn't a particularly healthy, and it wasn't particularly. It was quite young as well. But if I go into our menus now and have a quick look at all of our information, scroll right down to the bottom, our brown Swiss bull that we now have is slightly better in health. It's got, as you can see, the information it's got is all relatively high. It's in good overall health, which is good. And it's 12 months old. Whereas I think, if I remember correctly, the only bull that was available for me to buy in the last episode was quite young, so we were going to be waiting for quite a while before that could start reproducing, because you do have to wait, as it says there, bulls that are healthy and older than 12 months can reproduce. So there's going to be a bit of time waiting for that to reproduce. So thankfully, we've benefited from that in that respect. But again, because of the addition of realistic livestock, what it's enabled me to do is go through all of the cattle that I have in the barn at the minute, and look at each of the individual ones at their particular health and establish whether they're worth selling or not. So that means, so I have spent, as you can see, I've renamed all of the ones that I want to sell. I must admit, I'm starting to really appreciate this little bit of detail, or this big bit of detail, that realistic livestock brings. So I've gone through, I've done it with my cows and with my sheep and goats. I've gone through them all. I haven't done the pigs and the chickens yet, but as you can see, I've gone through them all, and I've named the ones that I'm going to get rid of as sell. And the criteria that I've kept is essentially, if there's anything red in there, quality, for example, or milk production or overall health, if there's anything low or extremely low, then I've considered that would be worth selling. So we've what I've done, I've shortlisted 20 cattle that I'm going to sell, 14 sheep and 11 goats. Now collectively that is going to come to £23,734 pounds, euros, whatever. So that's good, obviously, but it is going to reduce the number of cattle that we have in the barn. So once I've got rid of all the ones that I consider to be bad, then I can start focusing on just purchasing ones that are pretty good. Like, for example, as well, if I go back into here and we go to purchase one, I know that this one at the very top here for 1,324, this is in extremely good health, so that's worth buying. So we'll be doing that. But then the one thing that I would like to know is, within the new mechanics of realistic livestock, if you do have cattle or animals that are relatively low on any particular element of their health, is it possible to increase that particular statistic and essentially after a long time have an entire barn full of extremely healthy cattle or pigs or sheep or chickens or goats or anything like that? Is that possible? Does anybody know? I'm not too sure yet. I am still getting my head around it, I must admit. I'm becoming a little bit more familiar with it now. I know I made a bit of an error back on Oakbridge Farm at the beginning of the week, or last week, whenever it was. I spent a couple of minutes being confused why my cattle weren't saying they would be able to reproduce after purchasing a bull, because the bull was 11 months old and not 12 months old. So as soon as that happens, he's old enough to start having a bit of fun in the cow barn. So yeah, I just needed to. It's all these little bits of details that the mod brings to the game that, it does take a little bit of time. I'm not one of these people who'll sit here for ages just sitting here learning about a particular mod. Unfortunately, I'm one of these people who just kind of dives in and just, takes things as they come and just learns as he goes, kind of thing. So I'm getting there with it, though. That's all that matters. So yeah, so we stand to essentially, I'm hoping by the end of this episode we should have a bank balance of north of 100,000 euros, which is brilliant, I think. Like I say, we're going to do a bit of wheeling and dealing, getting rid of this equipment here, replacing it with the Fiat Agri F140, which it's absolutely gorgeous. It's 10 horsepower more powerful than this one, which is great. But the one thing that it does mean is that obviously I won't have any vehicle on the farm with any kind of front loader equipment on. So that is going to mean that at some point in the future I should really consider purchasing possibly a telehandler, because by the time we're done with this, we're going to have 2 Fiat Agris on the farm. Both they just look perfect, if you ask me. I'm really excited to get it on. I've not actually properly looked at the tractor yet. I've looked at it in the shop, but I've not actually bought it. I've not tested it. I've not heard it. I'm just assuming, knowing what EdoMod's mods are like, and referring back to the old Fiat Agri that we've got on the farm already, that it's going to sound pretty cool, and it does look great. And like I say, it does have the capacity for a front-mounted PTO as well, so we will be equipping it with that. So it's not like we're going to be taking a step backwards, so to speak, or anything like that. We're just going to be replacing it with something that I just feel looks and feels better. It feels like it should be on the farm, and it's just one of those things, with me doing a series like this, when a mod comes along that you really want, most of the time, if you're just playing on your own, or you're just doing things as you like to do, you can do whatever you want, can't you? But on a series like this, when I've got people like yourselves watching it and following it along, I feel it's important to justify what you're doing. So instead of me just in the background cheating and throwing 80 grand into my bank and going, hello everyone, I've got a new tractor and the money came out of thin air, I've got to, in inverted commas, do it correctly in a way. So I feel doing what I'm doing now justifies me doing, you know, wanting to get this new tractor. It gives me the opportunity to try out this, quite frankly, gorgeous mod that I'm sure it is going to be, and progress with the farm, you know, moving forward like that. So obviously, as a result of the last episode, we did quite well, replacing all the buildings. We made, you know, we finished off with more money than we had after deleting all of the buildings and placing down all of MA7's new beautiful buildings and packs and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so we did all right out of that, and I'm just following on in that characteristic, as it were, today. Doing that with this, getting rid of the getting rid of the unhealthy cattle, the goats, the sheep, and doing it with this bit of machinery as well. Now, and also taking on a couple of contracts, which we'll be cracking on with in the very near future. Now, the other thing is on top of that I haven't yet done is the soil data. Now, when I do all of this, obviously, I'm likely, when I come to finishing off all the contracts and doing all this wheeling and dealing, and we've got a bit more money in the bank. The likelihood is what I'm going to do is lease the field scanner and scan in all the data manually. I have added up what it would cost if I just bought it from the map, and in total it's going to come to 19,949 euros to buy in everything. And knowing what I know from doing it back on Oakbridge Farm, it is much more expensive to purchase it from the map in a big bulk, just clicking on it and purchasing the field data, than it is to spend 867 euros for an hour to lease the scanning tool and just whiz around the fields and do that. And because we don't have a huge amount of land on this farm, I feel it is going to be considerably cheaper for me to do it that way. So now that I've got an idea of what it would cost to buy it out the map, I'll be able to tell how much money I'd have saved by doing it manually, by hand, so to speak. So I'm going to crack on with that. So I'm going to do this first of all. Let's get into our shop. We'll go to here. Let's start at the top. So, and obviously I bought it to the shop because you do get more money for everything here. So £5,602. I'm not going to bother repairing that. I may well repair the tractor because I think it needs just under £2 throwing at it. So we're going to sell that. Yep, there we go. We're going to sell that. There we go. Sell the fork. Grab. Never actually used that thing yet, have we? There we go. The bale grab. The pallet fork. There we go, the front weight, yeah, and this one, so we'll repair that for £1,277, euros, so 85,744, there we go, sell that, lovely stuff, there we go, and I'll alter that, and in fact, no, let's just go into this and see what it's going to do to me for cost. So, trailer config, if I go to old, right, that's not going to cost me any money. Visible dirt, add straw, add hay, add soil. We'll add some straw. What's the hay look? Yeah, we'll add some straw, I think, to that one. Don't need the tool. We've already got the toolboxes, haven't we? We've got a steel floor. I want the old wooden floor. That's not going to cost me anything. I'm not going to change anything else there. I just want to change the colour of the rims back to the originals, which I think is that. How do I get rid of that? There we go. Let's just change that back to... Yeah, I don't need the class hubs anymore in the center. So in fact, let's just see if I can change that to something a little bit. Is there no silver? There we go, down to the grey there, I think. Silver, there we go. That's a bit better, I feel. There we go. So that's not going to cost us anything, is it? Brilliant. So customize. Yep, excellent, because that's going to suit the two tractors that we have on the farm now as well. So brilliant. There we go. Right, so I'm going to spend a couple of minutes in the shop now just specking out my Fiat Agri, and I'll pick you up in a minute or so's time and you will see my beautiful new tractor. Here we go, everyone. Welcome to my new vehicle, the Fiat Agri F140, and it is absolutely gorgeous, don't you agree? It really is. Now, I have kitted it out with its old rustic texture that EdoMod has created for it, because it'll kind of match the other one as well. I just feel it looks perfect. I love the fact that you can spec it with these Pirelli tyres with the writing on. Add it to the knackered old trailer as well. How cool does that look? It just looks great. But the attention to detail, like listen now. If I just get a bit closer, you can hear like a because it's an old tractor, you hear that metal resonance there, like the heat shield on an exhaust isn't quite tight or something like that? It just looks and feels absolutely brilliant. Now, like I said, it's kitted out with a front PTO that you can see turning as well. Look at that. I don't recall noticing that on base game machinery. That's amazing. That really is amazing. Goodness me. And on the back as well. Wow. That's mega. And inside as well, it just looks brilliant, don't you think? It's absolutely gorgeous. So, anyway, let's not oogle around too long at my new machinery. Let's get ourselves back to the farm. There we go. So, what I'm going to do on the way back, which I'm not going to do on camera. Goodness me, smash me trailer off the lamppost there. I'm not going to do that on the on camera, so to speak, which is just call in at the goat pasture and sell our unhealthy goats and sheep, and the same for the cow barn as well. I'll get that done off camera because it's not a particularly interesting thing to watch. Obviously, I've shortlisted all the ones to sell, so I just need to spend a few minutes going through, getting rid of them. And listen to the noises. I know it's very much like the other Fiat Agri, isn't it? You can hear the wastegates chirping away and whatnot. But yeah, gorgeous thing. So happy with that, I really am. Right, so like I say, I'll do this. I'll get this done off camera. Look at the lighting here in the morning. It's absolutely gorgeous, this map. It really is. You're going to have to wait, sunshine. Right, so I'll pick you back up the farm in a few minutes' time. Right, there we go. All of our unhealthy animals have been sold. Bank balance is now set at a reasonably healthy €96,571. So that's all good. But at least now that means that all the animals that we have got are relatively healthy. Oh, I seem to have missed one there. It's got. Well, we see, this is one that I didn't. The criteria that I mainly focused on was milk production and health overall. Ones like this that have a low metabolism, or extremely low in this one's case, I kind of I glossed over that because it seems to have a very high milk production and its fertility is high. So it's great that we've got this level of detail, but it's it's if I sold every single one of my cattle that had a low reading in any of its several statistics, sorry, I'd probably have no animals left. Let's be honest. So yeah, so I had to be thoughtful of which ones that I did remove. So we've got 42 cattle now in the barn, which again, thanks to Realistic Livestock, we can see them all. So there's no I hope happy. The fact that it raises the visible limit of everything that's in your animal pens, as it were, is really, really cool. So yeah, that's all good. So we will need to look at buying some more in. But this is another question that I've got for for Realistic Livestock: is does the list that you get given when you enter the when we go to here, does that refresh? That's what I want to know. And can I get out of here? Oh, well, there's the animal dialogue. Let's bring that in. So the list that we've got here, I have bought that really healthy one that I showed you before, but at the minute there's only 3 brown Swiss cows that I can buy. This one's that's not so bad actually. We'll buy that one, 11-month-old. Let's have that. There we go. We'll have that one as well. But these two, very low, very bad, and extremely low. So we're going to avoid those ones. It gives us more bulls. I don't really need many bulls. Loud Frank. But yeah. And when it comes to Holsteins, I've only got one to choose from, but ideally I'd like to stick with Brown Swiss. I've got Holsteins all over the place on other series and whatnot, so Brown Swiss, I'd like to keep this pen just for Brown Swiss, but I've only now got 2 that I can buy. So please let me know in the comments if any of you know. Does that list refresh every month or so? Will it give me the option to purchase a new list of Brown Swiss cows? We shall find out moving forward, but look at this. What a pair of tractors. Don't you agree, ladies and gentlemen? These are now the only tractors we have on the farm, and what a gorgeous pair they are. Both by EdoMod, both with this gorgeous rustic textured battered old look, I've got to say, but it just feels right to me. It really does. Don't get me wrong, like I said, from most angles it was an improvement. I know the class was much newer, it's more technological. The one thing that I could do with the class that I can't do with either of these is fit the passive scanners to the wing mirrors for the precision farming. so I may well have to either buy in the front-mounted active scanner, perhaps. But I'm happy to do that. Do you know what I mean? I'm not too fussed about that. I just wanted this tractor on the farm more than anything when I saw it the other day. So yeah, really happy that I've got it now. But now there is no time to waste oogling over new tractors. I've got the cultivator hooked up. We've got the front weight on the front. Need to make our way over to field 81 to get cracking with this contract. We'll get the field cultivating contract done first, and then we'll get the bale wrapping done after. And we're going to be using this one for that, for all of them. I'm going to be spending quite a lot of time in the cab of this thing for now. So, in fact, let me just reverse back so I'm not in the way of the traffic first. Just need to figure out which way I need to go. So, field 81, where are we there? It's right at the north of the map. And I need to make my way... Right, okay. I can actually go either way, can't I? Because I think that's the one we did a ploughing contract in a few episodes ago, isn't it? Yeah. So I can get there by turning left out the farm here, so I do need to be mindful of the cultivator hanging out the back there. So there we go, so I don't smash into the wall. Awesome. Right, see you over at the field in a moment. Before we do crack on with the contract, though, I have just spent a couple of minutes just looking at the detail that this tractor has got. Now, you've got it's got multiple control groups. So, if you have a look at the wing mirrors here, for example, you can alter the angle of the wing mirrors on both sides, which I think is just mega. It really is. And what else have you got with this one? On this one, you can open both the doors. You can open the rear window, the roof hatch there. You can alter the angle of the lights at the back. So I think that's this one here. Oh, what's that there? Where am I? Oh, there you go. You got this front blind as well. Look at that. That is so cool, isn't it? It really is. If the sun's getting in your eyes, you can. You've got yourself a bit of a blind there, and then you've got the. If you can see the lights in the top corner of the roof there, you can angle them back and two if you wanted to. A cracking bit of detail. Change the next one, and then you've got the roof hatch that you can open there, and then you've got the rear window as well that you can pull back and two. It's just beautiful, isn't it? It's absolutely brilliant. And what's this last one? And then you've got the doors, of course. So we've got the left door open and close, and then you've got the right door open and close as well. Just amazing. What a gorgeous tractor, it really is. So anyway, right, no time for playing with the new tractor. We need to crack on and get this job done, get a bit more money in the bank, because now after all that animal selling, we're now down to up to 95,476 euros. So let's get cultivating. I'll stick a bit of music behind this job, and I'll see you in a while. Right, just getting these last couple of bits now that I missed off the corners just because of the way I set out the course-play course. Does anybody else do that? I really don't have to do that whatsoever. We completed the contract moments ago, minutes ago, you know. But I still feel, I just feel, whether it's an OCD thing or whether I just feel it's the right thing to do to completely get everything. If you're employed to do a job and do a cultivating contract, you've got to cultivate the whole field and not leave the bits. But does anyone else do that, even on contracts? Or is it just me? Am I weird on my own here? But anyway, there we go. So let's get into the first one here. So completed, there we go. 15816. We'll collect that. Thank you very much. Lovely stuff. 111,277. Brilliant stuff. Tell you what though, I am rapidly falling in love with this tractor. It's an absolute weapon. It sounds amazing. Listen now in a minute when I let off the accelerator. Ready? Listen to that. So cool. Right, so anyway, what am I doing here? I can take a shortcut through the trees here if I can find a gap. Where are we? Let's just whip it through here. Sorry, local council. Right, so back to the farm now, and we're going to crack on with this next contract, the Bale wrapping contract. We'll be sticking with this beauty, of course, because I can't get enough of it right now at the minute, I must be honest. There was one of the control functions as well that I missed off before, is that you can move the seat back and forward and up and down. When I first bought the thing over at the shop, it felt like I was sitting quite low down, so yeah, that's another thing you can alter, which is great. But yeah, it's a cracking little machine, this, it really is. Now, one of the reasons why I've done all this, in respect of thinking or focusing on the money, and you know, wheeling and dealing, selling off a tractor to make 24 grand and selling off the unhealthy animals, is I am just trying to focus on money in that respect, in that because of the way that the series has started, because we started with cattle without realistic livestock and with the concept of producing milk and throwing that milk into our dairy that we've got over at the farm. It's going to be a while before we can do that, obviously, because of realistic livestock, which I'm fine with. It's all good, but I have to obviously think. I feel like I need to think a little bit more about income and money and just keeping us afloat, because now that we've got the bull, we've still got to wait for the bull to impregnate the animals, and then we've got to wait for the cows to calf, and then we've got to, you know, wait for them to start lactating and producing milk. So the dairy's actually going to be pretty, not useless, but it's going to kind of just sit there dormant for a while. We did put the milk that the cows had produced into the dairy, so there's not a lot, but I think it's just under 2,000 litres, which is, whoa, goodness me, didn't have time to stop then. My fault, terrible driver there. But yeah, we've not got a huge amount in the dairy at the minute, so income-wise from the dairy, we're not going to be seeing a huge amount. So I felt it's important to, you know, do things like take on the contracts and get a little bit more money into the bank. Going this way first to stick the cultivator back in the shed. But yeah, just to think about the money, and you know, yeah, we got some eggs there from the chickens, which is great, but they don't bring a huge amount of money in, do they? They just, you know, they'll just trickle a little bit in here and there. But right, there we go. Must admit though, the brakes are a little bit hit and miss. But you know what? I'm fine with that, because it is. Forgive me for repeating myself, but it is a beautiful tractor. I'm so glad to have two Fiat Agris down on the farm now. They just suit the place down to the ground. They really do. Just the style of the farm, the age of the place. Just in general, it just feels great. Now, where am I going here? Where are we? There we go. Let's drop that off there. There we are. Lovely stuff. Awesome looking thing. It really is. So yeah, let's just we'll hook up the bale wrapper here, and then we'll just have a quick wander into the dairy and just remind myself of the quantities that we've got. Because I think what we have got in there, there we go. I think what we have got in here needs to be turned on. So let's get in here and have a quick look. See, where's the manage productions bit? There we go. So what have we got? Farm cheeses. We've got 3,392 litres of milk. So I want to be making cheese because that's the most valuable. So we're going to activate that. And when we get the goat milk in, because there's not a lot over there either, but when they start producing a proper decent amount of goat milk, we're going to be making bottled goat milk, because that's more valuable than goat cheese. I am very keen to get into some mustard as well. We need to, fortunately, we can plant, drill, and harvest the mustard using a traditional grain header with the harvester that we've got, so that's good. But I do really want to get into that, because jars of mustard seem to be quite valuable as well. So I'm looking forward to getting into a bit of that. But until we can do anything with that, we need an empty field, or buy another field. But I don't really want to be. I think before I invest in any more land, I need to invest in a telehandler of some description. Now I have had a quick look at them, and the cheapest one is actually EdoMod's JCB Agri Loadall, the one that I kind of use that quite a lot. It's 108,000 euros, so that's probably going to be the one we go for eventually. But at the minute, I don't need one. I can manage with what. Well, I can manage just using the pallet auto load system we've got on the farm. I will only really need something like that, at least with a bale spike or a bale grab, at least when we go to start picking bales up. Now, actually, before we go anywhere, I need to remind myself which way I'm going this time as well now. So it's Field 89. Where am I? I'm here. Field 89. Right. So it's just round the corner from the grain mill there. Excellent. Right. Okay. So now I know where I'm going. I'll pick you up at the field. We'll see how many bales we've got to pick up. I'll see you in a minute. Ah, what a mistake to make. Look what I've gone and done. I didn't check on that, did I? They're square bales. I didn't even think about that. We've got a round bale wrapper. Goodness me. Well, what's it going to... It's not going to take long to get these picked up now. Let's just jump into the garage. What a fail. So let's have a look at a bale wrapper. So, dum-da-dum-da-dum. Bale wrappers. I need a square bale wrapper, don't I? Not that one. That one will do. What's that going to cost to lease? 3,213. And what are we getting for this contract? We're getting 7,000 and something, if I remember correctly. Let's have a quick look-see. Oh, that's a damn shame. That is 7,201. Yeah, so the profits aren't going to be anywhere near what I thought they were. Only going to get about 4,000 off that if I can get this done in an hour. So, back to the shop. I'll drop this off. I'll lease a square bale wrapper. I'm going to throw this into a bit of a time lapse and get it done when I've actually got the correct machinery to do the job. It would have been cheaper to borrow the equipment, wouldn't it? Although I'd have, well, yeah, it would have done. Hey ho, you live and learn. Right. Anyway, to the shop. I'll lease this wrapper. I'll throw the job into a time lapse, and I'll pick you up when it's done. Right, there we go. Job done. That was literally minutes. Absolute minutes. It was really easy money, but it would have been even easier had I used all my brain cells and figured out that I needed a square baler, not a round one. But hey ho, so let's jump into the menu very quickly. Collect that one. Job done. Now, I wanted to get that done as well. I don't know if any of you watched my Oakbridge Farm episode last week, but I accepted a bale wrapping contract, and what I realised when I watched the video back, because I hadn't actually appreciated this as I was recording it, but when I accepted the contract, as soon as I accepted it, it immediately completed, and it was ready to collect, and I hadn't appreciated that it had immediately completed. I just realised a little bit into the video as I was recording it, that because I'd come in and out of the game, and all of a sudden when I looked, it had completed, and I was like, what? But yeah, when I watched the video back, it had completed immediately. So I'm assuming maybe there was some kind of conflict, and it had registered that I'd already wrapped X amount of my own bales in that series. I really don't know, but either way, taking on that bale wrapping contract was also a bit of a test. But it seemed to have worked just fine in this one, so that's all good. So now we're at 115,265, which is great. It's a couple of euros less than what I thought I was going to be initially finishing off with, because I have purchased that. Obviously, I purchased a ram for the sheep pasture and a goat ram as well, and also obviously that extra healthy cow that we stuck into the cow pasture before as well. So that's all good, but there we go. So, started out with about 50-odd thousand in the bank, finished off with 115,000, and this beautiful new tractor. I was just about to say shiny new tractor, but it's not shiny, is it? But that's just what I love about it. It is an absolutely gorgeous piece of equipment. And look at the detail. For example, the F140 badge there. Just look at it is three-dimensional. You can see if I look down the line of the bonnet there, you can see it's an actual badge. It's got depth to it, and it's just incredible. The detail and the just the beautifulness of EdoMod's work is just incredible. It really is. Sorry to harp on about it, ladies and gentlemen, but yeah, it's a gorgeous thing. It really is. So anyway, for today's episode, I think I am going to call it here. I think I've done all right, quite frankly, today. We've got a bit more money in the bank, which is great. But yeah, really happy with that. A couple of contracts under the belt as well, so dead good. As for where we'll go from now, obviously now we are moving into the deeper winter months. I'm not too sure exactly what we'll do from there. Whether I do actually consider jumping into spring now, or whether I actually have a look and see if there's a few more contracts we can take on. Not too sure yet. It'd probably be a good idea actually thinking about it. Let's just have a quick look now before we do go. So what have we got? Bale wrapping again. If I do take on any more bale wrapping contracts, it'll be... There we go. You can tell from the equipment, actually. They're all square bales, aren't they? Yeah, so it might be worth taking on a few of them. Cultivating contracts as well. Things we can take advantage of with the equipment that we've got anyway. That doesn't look appropriate, does it? Great big tracked John Deere for this area of the world. Doesn't seem quite right. But there, you know, we've got 17, 18 odd thousand euros worth of income there we could take advantage of. And if I do all that and take it, you know, we've got fertilizing contracts there as well, harvesting, cotton we got there. What's it telling us? Carrots there, parsnips, red beet. Yeah, I don't know. Decent money, and I do need to consider, like I said before, I do need to consider an investment of about 108 grand for the telehandler, plus a couple of grand, maybe 5-6 grand for a few of the attachments. So call it 120 grand for argument's sake. We could do with considering that as well, and I don't really want to empty the bank account. So yeah, might be a good idea to take on a handful. I might get some done off camera between episodes perhaps, and pick up at the beginning. I don't know, I'm thinking out loud here, but what can I say? Awesome. Love it. New tractor. So, for this episode, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to call it here. Thank you very much for watching. I really do hope you have enjoyed the episode and found it a little bit of fun. As always, if you're new to the channel and you like my content, you like the way I'm doing things, please consider hitting that subscribe button and jumping on board, joining the channel. Please give the video a like if you can. It does do wonders. It helps the YouTube algorithm do its thing. And as always, there are a host of links in the video description below with my Giants Partner promo code. If any of you are in the market for purchasing Farming Simulator 25 and you like the idea of supporting the channel and helping out a creator, as always, I would be massively appreciative. And also, if any of you are in the market for an online server to play with your mates and you like the idea again of supporting the channel, but also like the idea of a 10% reduction in the cost of that server, please consider using my G-Portal affiliate link, which again will be in the video description below. Any help and support there also would be massively appreciated. So, thanks again for your time again, ladies and gentlemen. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.